Hey there, and welcome to the Event Crushed podcast. Each week, we'll be chatting about all things wedding industry, entrepreneurship, and how to crush it in life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey friend, welcome back to the Event Crushed podcast. This is your host, Becky. And before we jump into today's interview, I wanted to share something with you. This is actually going to be the final episode of the Event Crushed podcast, but don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. The podcast will continue on, but I am pivoting and transitioning a bit. So there will be a new name, there will be a new intro, there will be a whole new vibe to the podcast. And this is something that has been on my heart for a while now, and it's a little bit scary and a bit exciting. So I'm not going to share too much right now. What's going to happen is I am going to take a brief 2-week hiatus. Well, I am away at Wedding MBA next month, and I'm going to take some time and just really make sure I'm ready for this new iteration of the podcast. And when I come back, I am going to share all the details about what it's going to look like and what it's going to be about. It's still for wedding pros. It's still coming from me and the same heart behind it. But we are shifting into a new direction. And I'm going to be really honest with you. It's not going to be for everybody. And that's the part that is a little bit bittersweet. But ultimately, I know that this is the right direction for me to take things from here. And I hope you'll stick around. But if not, I also completely understand. And there will be no hard feelings if you decide to not continue to listen to the podcast. But for today, we have Laura with Copy by Laura. And I am so excited to share this interview with you. Laura is your type A copywriter for copy that creates the connection your audience is silently begging for, helping you to become the obvious next investment they need in their business. She writes websites and brand copy that does the heavy lifting so your sparkling personality can shine through, your message hits, and you're the one your clients can't stop talking about. Laura's always on her soapbox about how lucrative connection-building copy is because she's constantly seeing it come true. And in a time when everything feels auto-generated, being real with your audience is what makes you leap off the page. She's also a recovering perfectionist who's learned that letting your hair down as a business owner doesn't make you any less professional. It just makes the ride a whole lot more enjoyable. We had such a great conversation about writing copy that truly connects and converts, and I can't wait for you to hear it. And because she's the absolute best, Laura is offering Event Crushed listeners $200 off her core website copy service, and you'll find all the details linked in the show notes below. All right, and with that, let's dive in. Hello, Laura. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I'm excited to chat all about copywriting. And before we jump into all of that, I would love it if you could just introduce yourself to my listeners and share a bit about your background and how you got into the world of copywriting.
Definitely. I love to chit chat, so happy to be here. I have been a copywriter for about 5 years on my own. Prior to that, I worked in government and just without saying too much, felt like a chair warmer and just really had a disconnect between like what I was doing and really how I was spending my time. And then after I had my first child, I really wanted to be home, but it was like, well, we still have bills to pay. So I looked for a way to take my skills in government. I was in communications already. So how I wrote professionally already and brought that home per se. And so I went from being a good writer to learning through different copy mentors and different like bigger names in the copywriting world, learning from them through like private mentorship and one-to-one to write strategically and not just well. How to strategically write website copy, strategically write emails, blogs, sales copy, that sort of thing. So it was really great to already have like a very good basis, but then, tweak it, more than tweak it, like relearn per se, learn to write for different types of copy in a way that allowed me to have a lot more freedom and, work that I loved and clients that I loved as opposed to just I got to be here. I'm paid by the day, so I got to be here kind of thing. And it has allowed for so much more creative freedom, personal growth. That has been huge. As an entrepreneur, again, there's that flexibility. I have 3 kids now. It started obviously with 1, but I have 3 kids now and I'm still, really happier than ever being able to not choose between work and kids. And I mean, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it gets a little to be a bit of a juggle, but to have it all essentially has been great. And to work with so many powerhouse women has been very cool to be a part of.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's always surprising to hear people's backgrounds. Like I had no idea that you were in government communications previously. So that's super cool and obviously gives you like a really neat and interesting lens to view copywriting through. And also just I resonated a lot with what you were saying about, it's a juggle, but like feeling like you have it all, being with your family and your kids and also doing work that you love and being able to work from home. Like it really is the best. I was curious, how did you get your first clients? Like, did you just decide that you were going to start copywriting and then you built a website and started marketing?
I started actually as a VA. Maybe I should have mentioned that. I started as a VA because like I was, at the office after my first mat leave, basically like secretly Googling, which is maybe not smart on a work computer, but like secretly Googling, like work from home options. And I mean, this was 2019, just pre-pandemic. So, VA was very popular. And so I was like, oh, great. Like, I'm very type A. I'm administrative. Like, details are like my love language. So, like, I'll be a VA. And I did that for a bit, but it was funny because the tasks that I was doing for clients was essentially copywriting. But it was, if I didn't call it copywriting, it was just like content or whatever. And that doesn't, evoke the same trust or draw the same excitement or show anyone like, hey, I know what I'm doing. So it was actually a referral. Someone I knew referred me to someone they knew. Oh, well, I know someone who does that, that very thing you're doing or looking for. So it was a referral and it kind of just went from there. But it was that switch between being a VA because it was like I realized pretty quickly like, oh, like I don't love, maybe I just did it wrong. I don't know, but I don't like being a doormat for someone for like nickels on the hour kind of thing. So pretty quickly went from VA into copywriting because, again, being mentored by these copywriter women, they're like, what are you doing? Like this is not it, And if, here you are complaining that you're doing all these things and not making any money. Meanwhile, look at how from the outside, kind of step out of your own realms here. And like, if you are a potential client, look at how you're presenting your offers and make these changes. And it made all the difference. So
yeah, I've talked to several people who started as VAs and then from that, like branched off into their more like specialty, like you going from a more general VA to being a copywriter. I know I've had someone on who started as a VA and then she became like a social media manager and content creator. And then another one, I think she was a VA and then went into like website design. So it's just interesting how starting as a VA and then like probably doing a bunch of different things and finding like what you like within that and then specializing in that thing.
I feel like VAs, I've said this, but like VAs is like the gateway into what you like really want to do.
Yes.
Because exactly, because you could offer so many things, you're like, well, what do I actually care about? What am I good at? And then you realize, oh, if I actually become this thing that I'm essentially already doing, there's just so much more potential there.
Yeah, for sure. So I've seen you say, or I saw this written, you said the conversion is in the connection. And we're going to talk a lot about connection today through copywriting. And I'm just curious if you can kind of explain what does that mean in practice and how can wedding pros take that idea, the conversion is in the connection, and use it to connect better with their ideal clients?
I mean, there are so many options out there. No matter what you do, no matter what you're looking for, we are almost inundated with options. And it's never been more important to make an impression, stand out, create a connection between you as a business and your client and what they need. And that connection piece is so huge in going from, this person is an option, like they could serve the purpose of what I need, to, oh my goodness, they see me, they get it, they, maybe on a personal level, they are telling me what I need to hear in order to feel safe and excited and have an idea already what it's like to partner with them. So it kind of settles some of those fears of like, oh, if I work with this person, am I going to regret it? Or, I don't even know what they're like. And it's also that thing that helps keep people reading. So if you're on a website, if you're on somebody's website, if it's vanilla and blah, and you're like, oh, I've read this 200 times already today, you're going to check out. You're not going to continue reading. You're not going to consider what that person could do for you. You're just going to say, okay, well, I've essentially read this, on somebody else's site already. And you move on to someone who does make a connection.
Yeah, that's so important. And like you said, there's so many options and everyone just kind of starts looking the same if they're not really being thoughtful about their copy. And it's really easy for that to happen, I think, because it does, it takes a lot of intentionality and or hiring somebody to do copy for you. Otherwise, I think, we all kind of start sounding the same and having the same messages. And so it makes it probably really hard for couples to decipher like who is the best fit for them if they're not feeling that connection. And then that's the point where it becomes all about price. And then it's like, if they're not seeing that value, then it's just going to come down to price. Like if everyone else is looking the same, they're just going to pick the one that's most affordable within their budget. So yes, super, super important. Can you speak to any common mistakes that you see wedding pros or any business owners making with their website copy that might unintentionally be doing this, like making them look like just another vendor and really not standing out?
Yeah, it's, and even already as you were talking about this, it was like, oh, I have an answer. Like, so many vendors out there are operating out of fear. And even subconsciously, they're like, I don't want to offend someone. I don't want to send someone running. I don't want to be too expensive, or I don't like, instead of looking into like, holy smokes, I am amazing at what I do. And all we need to do here is get into the nitty gritty of, frankly, what you're already doing, but bringing that to life instead of being a commodity of like, I take photos, I arrange flowers, I'll make sure your day is not stressful, right? Like, cute, great, but that's very surface level. But they're so afraid to get deep into what sets them apart or how they, as a vendor, whatever they're doing, how they're doing that and how that is so much more beneficial to a lot of the other options out there. Because again, you're right. Otherwise, it does come down to price shopping. And A, that sucks. And B, you're not getting the most aligned couples. You're getting the couples who were comfortable with your price. And that can be okay, but it can also not be okay for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've been feeling very called out lately because, and like this just like brought it all up again. But my associate coordinator was kind of just looking at our website recently, and she was like, because she's worked with me for over a year now, and she sees the value in what we do and how we treat our couples and like the level of service that we provide. And she's just an amazing supporter, and she's like all in on it. But she was looking at my website and she's like, this does not, like the copy does not speak to how amazing you are and like what an amazing company you've built. And so I had to like go back through and be like, oh my gosh, it doesn't. And then I was talking with my business coach about it, and she did like a full website audit for me. And I have a lot of homework to do with my website copy. So I'm super glad we're having that. Like, this is a very timely conversation for me because I'm like, I need all the motivation. But yeah, she basically said the same thing. And it comes down to me like having a hard time, kind of what you said, like operating out of fear. Like, I don't want to come off as arrogant or like, I'm the best wedding planner, even though like I really do think I am one of the best wedding planners in my state. Just like putting it to words and like saying it feels weird. That's probably where hiring a copywriter comes in handy because then I'm not the one saying those words. I'm like handing it off to someone else and they can say those things without me feeling weird about it. Because I think that's just something I struggle with is like, I don't want to sit here and just like brag about how awesome I am even if it's true, but it just feels weird. So yeah, I'm just like thinking through all of this and realizing I have a lot of work to do.
Well, and it's funny because like I've totally heard that. Oh, I can't say that about me, but like maybe you could say that about me, right? Because it's like
Mhm.
I am all in, right? Like I get this like unique privilege of learning all the cool stuff about each of my clients' businesses and all the ways that, everyone feels like I need to do more, I need to do more. And like possibly, but first, let's bring to light what's already happening because you have a stack of testimonials of people like in tears, so pleased about your
Mhm.
work, but your copy doesn't translate that, right? And there's too much of this, again, this fear, oh, someone's going to think I'm arrogant. And like we don't have to come off obviously in your face whatever, but having that depth in your copy about how you do what you do in a way that frankly, yeah, the other options out there, you could go with them, but like they don't do it as well as me, right? And
Mhm.
so for me, as I'm putting this together for you, it's like I am your hype woman. Like I am so in on what you're doing and how you're doing it that being this essentially impartial third party is great to bring depth and like that magic, that unique spark that you have to your messaging.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, the connection piece is very important. And a big part of that would be like showing our personality and who we are, behind the business owner. And I'm just curious how wedding pros can like weave in their personality in their copy without sounding unprofessional or too casual and like still coming across as like the professional that they are.
I mean, I do get this question because people, again, operating out of fear. But this I understand. Like, not all of personality filled copy is like, hey, girl, right? Because I get it, right? Like that has come and gone. That's, like that. I understand why not every brand wants that. And I agree. But personality is that leaning into your brand voice and your brand as a whole. And so maybe that is more bubbly or more chill or whatever. And that's amazing. But if it's not, you can't just say, or I would not recommend that I'm just going to write off personality altogether. Because really personality, I mean, we think of it as like, the humor one or the outgoing one or the whatever. But really it's just consistent thoughts and quirks and phrases and things like that we can use your brand voice to really hone in on and make that something you lean into instead of are almost fighting with, if that makes sense. So yes, for some it is casual and that works for their brand, but it's not all or nothing, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, that does make sense. Thank you. Okay, I want to talk about something because I've been like a little bit conflicted about this because I know that in selling, a lot of people promote the idea of like speaking to the pain points of the potential client and kind of like highlighting, like, here's all the bad things, and then here's how I can like fix them for you, basically. But in talking with my business coach and some other people, like there, I've just been kind of encouraged to like focus more on the positive side of things. And basically, especially with the industry that I'm in as a wedding planner, like couples are already stressed out and they're already like having all these feelings. And so coming to my website and the first thing that I'm talking about is like how stressed out they are and how I'm going to like take that load off of them. Well, it makes complete sense. Like maybe it has to do with like Gen Z. I'm not totally sure, but like maybe that isn't the best method. And so I'm trying to rework things and kind of just focus on like, here's all the great things we can do for you and kind of not focusing as much on the pain points. But that's just a recent thing I'm kind of discovering. And I'm curious your thoughts on that. Like, do you think that, marketing to those pain points, it works really well, or does it depend on the industry, or is there a better way to go about it?
There is a better way. I mean, we were all taught from day one, right? Like entrepreneur 101 or, whatever. Like it was like pain points. And that was very much like 2023 and before, right? Like I got started 2019, 2020, and like that was the hot stuff, right? Like pain points. And this will just drive your consumer to just like throw open their wallet and like trust you immediately. And to be honest, like it worked back then, okay? Like they're not wrong. I think we all know we're in a bit of a like trust famine. And frankly, focusing on the negative constantly just doesn't do it anymore. Like, does that motivate you? No, doesn't motivate me. Oh yeah, my life does suck, right? Like, oh. So instead, I haven't completely gone away from pain points, but it's more like peppered in pain points with like a whole lot more of the positive side because it's not motivating, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
life is heavy for a lot of people and business is heavy for a lot of people. And constantly getting into this stuff that makes you feel crummy, like it's not great. And like I said, it doesn't work like it used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in the wedding world, like even you mentioned, like, oh, weddings are stressful or day of is so stressful or whatever. And so there is that aspect of it. But instead, why don't we focus on like how, talk about like the day of if you're a planner. So talk about the day of about how, the day could be like you in a fuzzy robe drinking tea with your girlfriends and all the bridesmaids know exactly what they're doing, instead of mother of the groom is crying in the aisle because she doesn't know who's putting the centerpieces together, right? Like it's
Yeah.
essentially the same problem and the same solution, but a different side of the coin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Okay, well, this definitely like reaffirms everything that I've been thinking and seeing. And so, yeah, definitely going to be moving in that direction with my site because I would hate for anyone to come to my website and be like turned off by the fact that they're like, oh, like I don't want to be reminded of this stress that I'm dealing with. It's like, yeah, wedding planning is stressful. Like we get it. We don't constantly need to be like highlighting that. I think
Yeah,
people
it's like
know.
I know I'm stressed. Please fix it. And that's the other thing
Right.
is you want to show them that imagery of what it's going to look like. Like there
Hmm.
is that empathy of like, I see you where you are. But more than that, you want like, here's where I'm taking you, right?
Hmm.
Like, here's what my service is going to do for this very important day in your life, right? That frankly is very vulnerable. And there's so much trust required, from these vendors. There's so much trust that needs to go into your website copy because again, there's lots of choices out there, but who this couple picks to be part of their day is a big decision, and sometimes I think we can forget that because sometimes things can get transactional, but it's like truly, this is a person's, a couple's day where maybe they've been thinking about it since they were 7 years old, or maybe, whatever, like their Pinterest board has frankly been collecting dust because they've been so ready to do this, So that element of trust is so important and that element of connection, which frankly is kind of coupled with trust because it's like I am believing by what you're saying for your website, what I'm feeling for your website copy. I am believing that you really will do that thing that you're talking about, and then so I will, whether you book a call or however it works on your website, it gets those gears in motion of I'm going to learn more from this person. I'm going to meet them for coffee, do the virtual Zoom, whatever.
Hmm.
But connection is that first step.
Yeah. Well, I love this whole concept of trust and like how building that trust is so important because if they don't trust you, they're obviously not going to buy from you. Do you have any like I'm just curious if you have any ideas of how wedding pros can like portray that trust through copy on their website?
I mean, a big part of trust is getting really specific. And you'll probably hear me talk about this later because so many copy issues would be resolved if copy was more specific. And I often say that like you can't rely on one headline or one page of your copy or whatever to essentially save you, right? To be that conversion machine. Each page and each part of the copy all works together to support the final result. And so getting really specific all throughout your copy helps have those conversions more so. So, I mean, authority is huge as far as trust goes. Authority is huge. And so getting into how you do what you do, not just what you do, not you as a commodity, but you as this is how my brain works to ensure that your day is chef's kiss, right? Like, here's what I'm always coming prepared with. So if you're a planner, talk about your emergency kit or, how if you're a photographer, how you have a slew of extra SD cards and extra batteries, like all the things that you could be afraid of that could happen. You're like, here's how I've already got that covered. Or obviously your testimonials are a huge thing. So people who have
Hmm.
already gone before, who have already worked with you, already saying like, this person was amazing and here's how and why, you'd be crazy not to work with them. But that's a really good way to kind of get into the process of how you do things is reading your testimonials from previous couples and
Hmm.
what they loved about what you're doing already. Something that you're already doing for your clients within those contracts. It's like that magical part of what you're doing already for them for their big day that's already out there that you just need to incorporate into your copy so other people hear about it and go, that's exactly what I want.
Yes. Yeah, that was super helpful. And testimonials are truly like a gold mine. And I don't think people take advantage of them enough, like obviously pulling quotes from them and including those on your website. But even, I mean, there's so much more we can be doing with our testimonials to like really like really read them and like learn what like the value that they're getting. Cause sometimes like we think we're providing a service and like this is what people are getting out of it. But when you read back what they're writing about you, it's like it's different than even what we think. And so I think that can be super valuable when it comes to your website copy because you can use that to like drive and direct the language that you're using, like using actual language from past couples to attract future couples, I think is just super smart.
Well, and look at like, what are the patterns? Like what comes up again and again about that thing that they loved about how I do things, super communicative or always made me feel at peace no matter what was coming or,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like look at the patterns and exactly use that for your copy. Don't just copy and paste it into a story on Instagram and call it good, right? Like it is a treasure trove of learning what is important to your buyers and using that in your copy to obviously attract more couples.
Yes, 100%. So I'm curious when you're working with your clients on their website copy, how do you work with your clients to help them go deeper to create copy that connects with their potential clients? Like a lot of wedding pros, they just, they think they're supposed to say these certain things. And I think ultimately they end up sounding generic. And I'm just curious, like, how do you work with people to pull out those deeper elements to make it really connect?
Once I'm working with a client, after the contract, there's a questionnaire that I'll have them fill out that tells me all about, what they love about their current website and what their goals are, what they really don't love about their current website, brand voice, and also it's like, tell me about how you do what you do. And also, what do I need to know about your industry? Like, what is important that you want me to know and to have those lenses on essentially when I'm writing for them. And so there is that questionnaire, but really it is the strategy call we do afterwards where so much of, that magic essentially comes out. Because again, if writing is not their thing or translating, how they do what they do, sometimes we're too close to the problem or too close to how we do stuff. And even for me in my own writing, this was a learned skill that I had to be okay, stop. I didn't just write a headline. How did that come to me? What was I thinking about? What was I valuing? So it's I knew that the client would, or the client's audience, based on what we talked about in the strategy call, I knew that's something that resonates with them, or this is very on brand, or whatever the case. And so sometimes if you don't have that learned skill and you haven't practiced it, you're almost too close to the problem there or too close to the situation. And so having that person with a copywriter brain, getting my eyes on your scenario, your philosophies, your process, your whatever, really helps me just get an idea of what it's like and creating copy from there.
There's so much value in that. I think that we as wedding pros, we are probably all business owners. I don't know. I'm just in the wedding industry, so that's what I can speak to. But we are obviously so close to our work. And it makes sense that we would think that we could write about what we do and our offerings, and that even if writing is not our specialty, we should be able to talk about the value that we provide. But I think a lot of us really struggle with it, and just knowing again, the connection that we've been talking about, how to portray that trust that we so badly want to, that authority. And a lot of us have resulted to DIYing our copy. I hired someone to do my homepage copy, and that was the first time I ever had, or I ever worked with a copywriter. But now I'm at a point where I'm kind of going to be revamping it again and trying to figure out, what the best path forward is for me. But I see so much value in copywriters because, like you said, you have that's literally what you're trained to do. You have a copywriter brain. I do not have a copywriter brain. I have a mush wedding, kid brain. It's crazy in there. So trying to sit down and write about myself and the services I provide is so hard for me. And so I don't know if anyone else relates with that, but it's extremely difficult. So I just, again, I think what you do is amazing. And I think if in a perfect world, everyone would hire a copywriter because we would all be selling a lot more. I think if we took the time and the money to actually hire somebody, because I don't think it comes naturally to a lot of us in the wedding industry. I can't speak for everyone. Obviously, some people are also amazing writers, and I'm very jealous of them. That is not me.
Well, and it's tricky because, like you said, it's not that you don't know your offer. It's not that you can't talk about your offer. It's not that you don't know the heck about how it brings value to your couples, but it is just translating like, you know the heck out of that so well, but how do we communicate that in a way that those couples like eat that up and totally understand the value and get excited, not just as, oh yes, this person is competent, but like, oh my gosh, I love everything about how they do what they do. And I can clearly see the final result in that transformation.
Yes, 100%. I'm curious, can you share a client story where shifting their copy helped them attract those dream clients or book more easily after working with you?
Yeah, I've worked in the wedding world. I've worked with like wedding photographers, wedding business coaches. I have a floral designer on deck, event planners, things like that. And one of them was they got a lot of their business through referrals, which I think is pretty relatable in the wedding world. But her website copy wasn't supporting that level of service that we talked about. And so she was, like I said, getting business through referrals. But when they would go to her website, like it was more like a hurdle than it was, to help them like, oh yeah, this is clearly the person. Because when you have a referral, a lot of that trust is already there just because your friend told you that they were amazing and you trust your friend. Obviously, we're doing our own research. You go creep them on Instagram and their website and whatever. Usually before they would reach out to you. And her website was just not, again, holding that authority, essentially. Like, it wasn't showing how she was getting things done amazingly, how her couples were extremely excited and extremely pleased with what she did, and the personality portion as well. Like, she's very personable. And again, that element of trust and feelings of safety with this vendor is really important and was not there. And so she needed a copy that translated all of that. And so when people are coming to her website, you don't always want your only source of marketing to be referrals, of course, because that's something that you really can't control. I mean, you can control it in that, like, you do your best work and people will share, but that is only one little sliver of the marketing pie, if you will. So it can't be the only thing. And she needed her website to be out there, essentially speaking on her behalf, even before she has to talk to anyone. And so I did her copy. I redid her 3 pages of her website, the most important ones. And she was like, I got a sale the same day. The same day that the copy went live. Like, it was almost one of those things where she was almost mad. She's like, because she was like, it was that easy. Like, we just had to really fix up my messaging, start from scratch there. And it was like a reminder of how you present yourself on the internet and what you're saying and the way that you're saying it really is that difference between, people buying or not buying, right? At the time, she had not redone her design. She had not redone her photos. We truly just started on messaging. And then she got it posted live on her website and boom, like she was like, wow, just like that. Like, so
Wow.
it's crazy. Yeah.
That is crazy. Well, because I think I've even had the thought, like, is changing the copy on my website really going to make the difference for me between like making a sale and not making a sale, or getting an inquiry and not getting an inquiry? Like, is that the thing? And I have to admit, like, sometimes I've wondered, like, does it hold that much power? Like, it clearly does, but I think probably a lot of us don't realize like how much power it holds, and they think instead that their Instagram posts or their online presence in different ways or the referrals, like those things hold more weight than the copy. And so the copy kind of becomes something of like an afterthought, or like, oh, I can redo it later. Like, I'll just throw something up for now and then I'll redo it later, but then they never redo it later. I've definitely seen that happen a fair share.
Yeah.
And like someone who's been around for a long time, and I'm like, clearly your copy is from like 8 years ago. Like, you should really do something about that. So that's just a really good reminder and testament to like how powerful our copy can be. I mean, that's amazing. She made a sale the same day I went live.
Yeah, because she was kind of like, things are, again, referrals, were decent, but like any other avenue was drying up. And she's like, well, like, what's going on here? And that frustration of knowing how much value you bring to your couples. And it's just like that value is not being seen right now. So to then showcase that. And then it was like, right, like she becomes a no-brainer to work with because we've created messaging that supports that.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say too, like, this is obviously super important for anyone, no matter how they're getting their leads, whether it's referrals or social media or SEO, et cetera. But I would say like, especially for those who are getting a lot of leads via Google and SEO, like that means that the first place they're landing is your website. Like with some of these other sources, like they might be looking at your Instagram first, or if it's a referral, they might be, looking at different things first. But if they're coming to you through SEO, like that means your website is the first place they're landing. And if they're not connecting, then they're just hopping off. Like they're not going to also check out your Instagram. Because nowadays, like couples, it's not like they just see one side of us or one thing. They're looking at our websites, then they're going to Instagram, then they're going to TikTok if we have it, and they're looking on Pinterest, they're like all the different things. And so anyways, there's just like a random thought. But if you get a lot of leads from SEO, then I would say like really make sure that your copy is spot on.
Well, exactly. And there's nothing you can do, like, because you don't know who's coming and going through your website traffic, right? And if they come to your website, they find you amazing, they read your website, they're not impressed or it didn't make any impression, there's really nothing you can do about that. You can't be like, come back, right? Like, I pay attention on Instagram instead. Go read my Instagram, right? Like, they come to your website and then they click away. And like, that's just lost revenue that like you have no control over. There's no way to like yank them back because you don't even know who they are and where they came from.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, nothing is worse. I use Microsoft Clarity to like see how couples are like interacting with my website. And it's so like hard because I'll see like they went to this page and then they went to this page and then they went to this page and then they just pieced out and like they didn't inquire. And I'm like, why? Like what was it? Like why didn't they reach out or like what didn't connect with them? And you can't help but wonder. But yeah, it's so true. Like we can't get them back once they're gone.
We need like a feedback form option. Like, oh, are you leaving? Like,
just like pops up like, where are you going? Why? Tell me more.
I mean, how annoying would that be? But
that would be so obnoxious, but I would love it. I'd be like, please tell me. That's hilarious. Okay. So we're winding down. I just have one or two more questions for you, but obviously I have said my piece that I think in a perfect world, everybody would hire a copywriter. I think it's so, so valuable, but maybe listeners are out there, they don't have the budget for that right now. Can you give us any just like quick actionable advice that someone today who's listening could take this advice and improve the copy on their website to connect better with their ideal clients?
Definitely. I mean, okay, I got three things. But one is brand voice. You got to know your brand voice and you have to own your brand voice. So it needs to be something that feels natural, but also something that resonates with your audience. With that, though, you also need to know, and like saying market research also feels very 2020, but like knowing what makes them tick is very important because without that, your copy is really just rambling or wishful thinking or hopeful. But the big takeaway here is get specific because I can't even tell you the amount of websites I've read and they're like, I'll help you create your dream wedding. And you're like, Pearl. Like, what does that even mean? So getting specific. So, I mean, I talked earlier about how, painting imagery about how you do what you do. So are we creating that day about, again, the fuzzy robes and the drinking tea or just spending the whole night on the dance floor because you don't have a care in the world because whoever you hired, you made that decision to hire someone 12 months ago and it is paying off today, right? Like you get to be with your guests or sneak away with your spouse or dance or like whatever it is, like you just get to do what you want to do. And how cool is that? So things like that, whatever it is that you bring to the table, get specific about that because these couples need imagery because they're stressed. They got a lot to do and they need those feelings of safety and excitement to make a purchase. So imagery and how you are going to make that facet of their day, whatever part of, whatever you are as a vendor, whatever that sliver of the whole bigger day is, how you are going to make it amazing is what will make you stand out.
Yeah, that's so good. And I know you mentioned it before, but just the idea of getting specific, because I think there is a lot of just kind of this generic, like, we're going to help you bring your dream wedding to life. But oh my gosh, yeah, what the heck does that mean? So that's something we can all do for sure is just to go in and like, get more specific. And how are we going to do that?
Well, and copy is a whole bunch of micro conversions over and over. It is not just like one big headline that just blows everyone out of the water. Like, sorry, that's not the modern consumer anymore. But it is feeling affirmed and seen page after page, header after whatever, just feeling like, yep, I want this. Yep, yep, that sounds good to me. Yep, this makes sense. Like, which is really where you'll see the power of your copy.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Well, Laura, this has been so great. I would love to know where listeners can connect with you and learn more about your services. And then I believe you also are offering a deal for podcast listeners, which is so cool. So I'd love if you could share a bit more about that as well.
Definitely. Well, what a hypocrite I'd be if I didn't mention my website first, right? It's copybylaura.com. Very simple. So you can find me there, or on Instagram is just at copybylaura. I also am getting better at being consistent with my email list. I love writing emails. So my website or Instagram, and my signature offer is what I call core website copy. And that is custom writing 3 pages of your website, essentially of your choosing. So typically that becomes home, about, and services. It doesn't have to be those 3, but that's usually what people choose. And it's getting my eyes and my obviously copywriting brain on the 3 pages of your website that people are viewing most and that you want to have the most depth and strength and work the hardest for you without doing a whole revamp of your entire every single page of your website. It gets to what matters most and makes it something that is selling for you in a way that feels good and feels authentic and that your couples connect with, obviously. And so for the next 30 days, if you come to me and you say, hey, write my website, Becky sent me, then you'll get $200 off of that service there.
Amazing. Well, that's incredible. Thank you so much for doing that. And I certainly hope that people take advantage of that. I really think that they should.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to get this out there and for everyone to hear it.
Well, this was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Event Crushed podcast. I hope you found value in this episode, and if you did, please consider sharing it with a wedding industry friend. We also hope you'll consider leaving a rating or review for the show to help other listeners find it. This podcast is edited and produced by Ace Sound Design. If you're looking to elevate your audio experience, their info can be found in the show description. As always, thank you for listening, and please connect with us on Instagram if you haven't already. Now get out there and crush it.